you trust the
No,
Iranian
sir.
regime as far as he could throw them when it comes to potentially creating a bomb?
It doesn't come down to trust at all, and I'll beg the rest of the panel's forgiveness. I'll try to stay quiet later on in the hour here and let y'all talk. But just real quick so you understand, we had a deal in 2015 under which Iran exported every bit of their enriched uranium stockpile to France, who would then turn it into fuel rods and then ship it back to Iran to use in their reactor. Now, the nuclear reactor produces plutonium waste, but they don't have the facility required to reprocess plutonium to get all the impurities out to make weapons fuel. So they had no plutonium route to the bomb. The Russians would come and get the plutonium out of their reactor when it was full and time every couple years or whatever. Now, their uranium route to the bomb, because they were exporting every bit of their enriched uranium out of the country, was they have this arbitrary timeline breakout period. They call it the breakout point, that it would take them 1 year if they decided to withdraw from the treaty, kick the inspectors out of the country, and begin to enrich weapons-grade uranium. It would take them a year to have enough to make one bomb with. Now, the new report that came out said that on top of that, it would take them another couple of years to have an actual warhead ready to do anything with it. And I'm sorry this is complicated, but I know people can follow on this if you know anything about the history here. Let me explain real quick now that the Nagasaki bomb was a implosion bomb, a plutonium implosion bomb. Which is the type of bomb that can be miniaturized and fit to a missile. But the Hiroshima bomb was a simple gun-type nuke, a uranium nuke, which is a humongous thing. Iran could never fit that on a missile or deliver it to Israel or the United States in a million years. And so if they had a single gun-type nuke or two, it would essentially be to test off a demonstration round in the desert to show that they have one, but it still would not make them an offensive threat to anyone. And as the CIA concluded in 2007, they abandoned all research into a weapons program, even bothering to look into it in 2003 when America got rid of Saddam Hussein for them. And so the fact that they've had now, I'm sorry, get to your point. Donald Trump left the treaty or the agreement in 2018. Now, Piers, it's complicated, but according to the agreement, Iran is allowed to stop abiding by some of the restrictions in it if America breaks our side of the deal. They actually are still within the larger agreement, even while ceasing to abide by some parts of it. Now, that 60% enriched uranium stockpile that they built up is clearly, just as it was in the Obama years, is clearly simply a card to play in negotiations to deal away. That uranium is there to give up if they can get America to back down and lift the sanctions. That's all it is. If they wanted to make weapons-grade uranium, they could have made weapons-grade uranium. They weren't doing that. They're getting closer because it's a card to play in negotiations. And now and one last point, and then I swear I'll stop, and you made this point. Nothing changed. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, says nothing changed. They did not break out toward a nuclear weapon. There was no casus belli here, even if you accepted the premise that you could launch a preemptive war to prevent them from getting a nuke, which is a whole other argument. But even if you accept that premise, nothing had changed in Iran other than the timeline, the arbitrary timeline of Trump's demand had expired, and you hear Trump and the rest of the hawks trying to conflate having a nuclear program at all with being on the verge of achieving a nuclear weapons capability. And this is what George W. Bush called shorthanding it. In other words, they just imply a bunch of lies because they can't explain what they mean.